Touchdown, Alabama, let's get it.
The process, no one can stop this. Hottest show in the streets, I bet you can't top this. Rammer, jammer, yellow hammer, come see how we rock this. Alabama fans the best, there's no way you can top this. Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
Recruiting news and interviews, just sit back and watch this.
The process.
Hey everyone, welcome into The Process, Crimson Tide Recruiting. I'm your host, Justin Smith, the Scouting and Recruiting Analyst for Touchdown Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on our YouTube page. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you are a subscriber, hit the notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube page. I am here each week on Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page to break down the latest in Crimson Tide football recruiting news. And on today's episode, I do want to preview the Crimson Tide's upcoming Junior Day on March 5th. Of course, the Crimson Tide had a great Junior Day on January 29th. Got an opportunity to get some of their top 2023-2024 targets on campus. They will look to do the same on March 5th, try to get multiple top-tier 2023 targets on campus, including 2 5-star recruits who I will talk about on today's show. I will also discuss a couple of guys who you may not have known about because they recently pulled in Alabama offers and they are expected to visit during the month of March on March 5th for that Junior Day. I will get into all of that, of course. I will also have a recruiting update about 4-star offensive lineman Olas Elanin. But before we dive into everything we want to dive into on today's show, I do want to remind you guys you can leave a recruiting voicemail at 205-984-3222. Call that number, leave your Alabama football recruiting question via voicemail, and it could be answered on The Process in the future. The number will be located on the screen throughout this episode of The Process. But like I said, the first thing I want to discuss is 4-star offensive lineman Olas Elanin, who is originally from Finland, but transferred to Connecticut to play football during his junior season and just get used to American football and just help his recruitment grow. And it has grown a lot since he has got to the United States of America. He has got an opportunity to play in Connecticut during his junior season and has seen his college offer list grow. The Crimson Tide offered him in November. They got him on campus later that month, and he said Alabama was at the top of his recruitment. And he told me actually earlier this month that he was 100% sure that the Crimson Tide were going to get an official visit from him, but he has actually locked in that official visit date. He will be on the campus of the University of Alabama on the weekend of June 10th. That is something to definitely look forward to as the Crimson Tide look to be in a great position with the 6'7" offensive lineman who's originally from Finland. Now we are going to transition into previewing the Crimson Tide's upcoming Junior Day on March 5th. Like I said, the Crimson Tide will have some of their top 2023 targets on campus. I do have a list of some of those 2023 recruits who Touchdown Alabama has confirmed who will be in Tuscaloosa on March 5th. Those guys are expected at the moment, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit here, starting with Brandon INNIS, the 5-star wide receiver out of American Heritage High School in Plantation, Florida. He's a guy I talked about a couple of times over the last couple of episodes of The Process as well. He will be on campus on March 5th. This guy was saying that 6 foot, weighs approximately 190 pounds, a speedy, athletic wide receiver, great route runner. I think he is an all-around athlete. Just taking a look at his highlights, you see some wide receiver action, but you actually see some quarterback action as well because he actually spent 7.5 games at the quarterback position for American Heritage during his junior season. And I think that just points to how athletic he is. If you have seen him on social media recently with the 7017 Southern Florida Express, you see him actually playing a little bit quarterback as well. So Brandon INNIS is an all-around athlete who the Crimson Tide really want to recruit in this 2023 recruiting class. The Crimson Tide's wide receiver coach Harmon Wiggins, I feel, has a good relationship with Brandon INNIS, but so to us the Crimson Tide's defensive back coach Travaris Robinson. Actually, when Robinson was hired at the University of Alabama, Brandon INNIS took to Twitter and congratulated Travaris Robinson, acknowledging that he was coming to the University of Alabama because of the previous relationship that he had with Robinson when he was at the University of Miami on their coaching staff. So I think Travaris Robinson is going to play a huge role in Alabama recruiting Brandon INNIS moving forward. Of course, you have that American Heritage connection as well. The Crimson Tide have been really successful recruiting that program in the past. Another Florida prospect who is also a 5-star prospect who will be on the campus of the University on March 5th is CORMANI McClain. He's a 5-star defensive back in the 2023 recruiting class. Like I said, him and INNIS plan to be on the campus of the University of Alabama during the month of March on March 5th. Of course, when you take a look at what McClain brings to the table, he's another long defensive back, similar to Jaleel Hurley, who verbally committed to Alabama earlier this week. He's another one of those prototypical defensive backs who you see in today's game of college football. It seems like everyone wants to go after those long, lengthy corners, guys with good speed, guys with good ball skills, and KORMANI actually fits that mold pretty well. He actually listed the Crimson Tide in his top 5 during the month of November, so the Crimson Tide are in a great position with KORMANI, in my opinion. Nick Saban actually went out to his school when he hit the road a couple of months ago, just checking out some of the top recruits in the country. And similar to INNIS as well, I think Travaris Robinson will play a huge role in Alabama recruiting KORMANI McClain as well. It is a couple of easy reasons to see why that is true. First off, he is a defensive back. Travaris Robinson is the Crimson Tide's cornerbacks coach. He's another Florida guy with Travaris Robinson is expected to play a huge role in the recruiting trail for the Crimson Tide, with them recruiting multiple defensive backs from the state of Florida in this 2023 recruiting class, along with Makari Vickers, who visited Alabama for the junior day on January 29th. So the Crimson Tide will have both of those 5-star recruits on campus, but they will, like I said at the top of the show, they will also have some guys who you may not know about. Like I said, they recently got offers from Alabama, including Xavier McLeod. He's a 4-star defensive lineman out of South Carolina who recently picked up an offer from the Crimson Tide, currently standing at 6'4", weighing 301 pounds. He's an explosive defensive lineman who the Crimson Tide would actually expected to get a visit from him even before he had an offer from them. He got that offer a couple of days ago, basically before this visit, but he was scheduled to visit without having an offer, so I'm pretty sure he's excited to get to campus now that he actually has the offer before his visit on March 5th. Like I said, 6'4", 301 pounds, good in space. Looking at his highlights, it's multiple times where he jumps up and knocks the ball down at the line of scrimmage, and I think that just points to the length that he has as a defensive lineman. I think most recruiting sites have him listed as a defensive lineman, but I think his true position will be defensive tackle, just taking a look at his size. Although his high school at the moment currently plays him at defensive end, allows him to rush more at defensive tackle a little bit, so he plays all along defensive line at the high school football level. It'll be interesting to see how his recruitment continues to grow. Like I said, Alabama has recently offered him. They are definitely trying to build their relationship with the South Carolina defensive lineman, along with Cole Adams, another guy who recently got an offer from the Crimson Tide. It's actually a 4-star wide receiver from Oklahoma who clocked in at 10.65 in the 100-meter dash. I think we are seeing a long list of wide receivers over the last couple of recruiting classes who have basically posted some impressive track times, and I think that just speaks to coaches at the D1 college level wanting to go after guys who are two-sport athletes, specifically guys who run track, because that speed easily translates over to the football field, and that is something that you can measure if you are recruiting a guy. If you are evaluating a guy, if you want to know about his speed, you can check his track time. And the Crimson Tide were able to, I'm pretty sure they were able to get Cole Adams' track time with them posting that impressive track time PR of 10.68 in the 100-meter dash. He's a speedy wide receiver at 5'10", 180 pounds. He will be on campus on March 5th as well, of course. Just taking a look at what he's had to say about the University of Alabama after he received that offer, he told me that he was truly honored to have an opportunity to play under Nick Saban. He really likes the way that the Crimson Tide use their wide receivers, specifically guys at the slot position. He think he brings a lot to the table with his ability to play all over the offense. He think he can be a slot wide receiver. He think he can line up outside. He think he can line up anywhere and be effective, and also help in the special teams game with that type of speed. He can be a punt returner or kick returner. So Cole Adams is a prospect to know heading into March 5th, with the Crimson Tide trying to get some of their top targets on campus in this 2023 recruiting class. Cole Adams will also be joined by KALIB HICKS, a 3-star running back out of Ryan High School in Denton, Texas. Of course, the last time the Crimson Tide recruited a guy out of Ryan High School, they picked up 5-star outside linebacker Drew Sanders. Unfortunately, he did move on to Arkansas, but he was effective when he was playing with Alabama football. But the Crimson Tide are going to try to recruit a couple of guys from Ryan High School. Of course, Anthony Hill, a 5-star linebacker, quite possibly the top inside linebacker in this 2023 recruiting class. But they will also recruit his teammate in KALIB HICKS, a physical, nice size running back at 5'10", 195 pounds. He told me that he feels Alabama is actually the original RBU. Just going back, just taking a look at the early days of Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide dominating and winning national championships, we've seen running backs get highlighted, and that's basically what he pointed towards in terms of telling me that he feels Alabama is the original RBU. He said he's excited to continue building his relationship with Alabama's coaching staff, similar to a lot of guys on this list today who I've talked about. Nick Saban went out to his high school in Texas as well. I actually offered him when he visited his high school, but Hicks told me that he didn't even know he had an offer. He actually got a call from Robert Gillespie a couple of weeks ago or so, and Robert Gillespie basically confirmed an offer from the Crimson Tide. So he didn't know he had an offer until Robert Gillespie called him recently to confirm that he actually had the offer. He's excited to get on the campus of the University of Alabama on March 5th. So that was just a quick preview of some of the guys who will be on the campus of the University of Alabama that Touchdown Alabama has confirmed so far. This list could get really long in the future, and much longer as the days continue to grow. A lot of guys continue to get new offers, and a lot of guys confirm plans that they will be in Tuscaloosa on March 5th. I know 5-star defensive end Jaden Wayne said he was thinking about possibly visiting on that weekend. He's a name to just keep your eyes on in case he does take a visit to Alabama, but he said he is considering it. So like I said, this list could grow in the future, but that is what I wanted to talk about on today's episode of The Process. Be sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Subscribers, hit that notification bell. As always, be sure to head to touchdownalabama.com. Pick up your subscription. With that subscription, you will be able to read all of our subscriber-only articles, get your hands on our yearly Prince magazine issue. Also, check out our recruiting profiles and scouting reports on each Tide commit in each recruiting class. Then head to the Google Play Store if you have an Android device to download the Touchdown Alabama app. If you have an Apple device, be sure to download the app as well in the Apple App Store. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama.
Process.